Welcome to Fraser Mac Gaming. I'm Fraser Mac. This is the latest video in my Fraser Mac Gaming news series. I'll go through the latest news for the Switch, cover the games coming to everyone's favourite hybrid system, and I'll have the occasional rant when something really pisses me off. Today I'm going to run through my favourite Switch games from June. Again, I'm doing this retrospectively, so I'm able to base it on actually playing most of these games myself, and from reviews from other people playing them. I've also seen some people playing the games online, so it's given me a bit of a better feel for how they've actually turned out on release. So which games do I love, which games lived up to the hype, and which ones didn't, and also what are my favourite Switch games for June 2019? Find out after this. I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's subscribed to the channel so far. We are moving towards 100 subscribers on the channel, so that's fantastic. I'm really enjoying making the videos. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, and we'll get straight into the games. So first up from Lunary Games and Chucklefish is Timespinner. So it came out June the 4th, right at the start of June, and it's obviously a 16-bit pixel art Metroidvania, obviously a very popular genre on Switch. Chucklefish Games have obviously published and developed some really good games on the Switch, so Wargroove, Stardew Valley, they really do know how to pick and help develop other indie devs. Metroidvania games really do need to be good on Switch to stand out because there are so many of them. But obviously Lunais is looking to take revenge on the evil Lakium Empire. You have to use mysterious creatures called familiars that will help you on your way, and it obviously leads to some unique abilities and interesting combat. I think obviously Timespinner was something that looks fantastic, really drew me in. It's got a very retro sort of style, back to that 16-bit generation that I like. But at EGX Res I was a little bit underwhelmed, but I probably didn't have enough time to get into it. But it is $14.99 in the UK or $20 in the US, and it's currently sitting on an 83 on Metacritic. Moving on to something you might be familiar with already is of course Slay the Spire from Megacrit. It's previously released on Steam and other consoles, so it started out back at the end of 2017 I think, so it's been out almost a couple of years now. It's now coming to Switch, and it obviously combines card battles with roguelike action elements. So obviously there are hundreds of cards to collect, lots of different ways to approach the game, and each playthrough will be very, very different. You can obviously combine cards, create your own decks. They'll have lots of interesting combinations and they'll do different things when you put them together. There's powerful relics to discover, and obviously you've got to climb the spire. I'm not familiar with Slay the Spire yet. Obviously I've heard other people talk about it and really rave about it. It's already got an 85 on Metacritic, so obviously it is a well-known good game. And after SteamWorld Quest, you know, I really enjoyed that game. I think Slay the Spire is something I might be interested in. It's currently $25 in the US and around £20 in the UK. The Switch definitely caters for everyone, and I'm going to go for another classic here. There's been a lot of great retro releases on the Switch recently, and obviously in the E3 Direct presentation from Nintendo, we got the announcement of the Collection of Mana from Square Enix. So obviously all these games going back to the Secret of Mana that was on the SNES, so some of you might be familiar with that, going through to Final Fantasy Adventure or Mystic Quest, and obviously the Secret of Mana we talked about. And Trials of Mana is going to be playable in English, French, German and Spanish. So obviously Trials of Mana hasn't come to the West previously, and obviously we got the great news during that E3 Direct that there's going to be an actual remake of the Trials of Mana. I think that confused everyone. It seemed like there was the 2D graphics and the Collection of Mana, and then all of a sudden these 3D graphics. So you didn't know if they'd done something like Dragon Quest XIS, where they'd sort of combined the two, or they were separate games, but they are separate games. But the Collection of Mana, the three classic games all together, are already released on the eShop, but you can actually pre-order a physical copy at the moment. Now the price, you know, these are three classic games that people would really love to play on their Switch, but they're around £35 and $40 from the US. Obviously there's a physical copy coming up. I've actually ordered that from Amazon. I think when I'm spending that kind of money, I want a physical copy of the game, something to get my hands on and add to my collection. But that will be coming out, I believe it's at the end of August, so I pre-ordered that, so I'll put a link down below for that one if you're interested in getting a physical copy. From one classic series to another, yes, the Contra Anniversary Collection from Konami is already out. Obviously, Contra is right up my street. I'm more of an action shoot 'em up type guy, a shooter. So this was just music to my ears when Konami announced this. Obviously, Castlevania Collection's come out and the kind of arcade collection, but Contra Collection is what I've been waiting for. Obviously, I'd love to see this get a physical edition. I mean, it's just music to my ears is coming out. So you've got Contra, the arcade version, Super Contra, Contra North America, Contra from the Japanese version, Super C, you've got Contra 3, the Alien Wars, Operation C, Contra Hardcore, Super Probotector, Alien Rebels, and Probotector. So I actually grew up playing more of the Probotector game, but obviously I've played Contra a lot on the classic consoles, etc. It's brilliant. It's going to be $15.99 in the UK. It's $20 in the US. It's got an 80 on Metacritic right now, and I mean, it's got a bonus digital book. So Contra Anniversary Collection. Contra Anniversary Collection, definitely one to add to your collection if you love action shooters and retro games like me. All you Zeldies out there, you don't need to feel left out. Obviously, the big indie game, and I mean, it's difficult to see whether you can call that now. It's a kind of mixture of indie and AAA, because yes, Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. Yes, the longest name ever for a game. Yes, it released obviously last month from Brace Yourself Games and Nintendo. It's a wonderful, wonderful collaboration between indie and AAA, which is just fantastic to see. Apparently Miyamoto and other senior execs in Nintendo just loved Crypt of the Necrodancer. The combination of Zelda and Crypt of the Necrodancer is just genius. I bought it. I've only just slightly dipped in. The wonderful news for people who are not familiar with the series, obviously, you do not need to play it as a rhythm game. You can just play it like any other Zelda game, any other top-down 2D Zelda game out there. So obviously Cadence of Hyrule, it has all that Zelda magic with the music, some lovely mashups of the classic tunes that you'll know and love. It has randomly generated dungeons, levels, lots of interesting boss fights. You can obviously equip yourself with iconic weapons, spells and treasures from the Zelda series. It looks fantastic. I think it's got fantastic reviews. It's sitting around 85, 86 on Metacritic. People obviously really do enjoy the game. I think obviously the fact that you can play it with the music or without is great, and you can play as different characters, obviously Zelda, Link, or Cadence herself. So it's £22.49 in the UK and $25 in the US, and I'm really crossing my fingers, toes and everything for a physical copy of this, because I think there's some fantastic opportunities if Nintendo allowed that to happen. We're moving into something more in my sweet spot of gaming right now. It's my friend Pedro from Dead Toast and Devolver Digital. Yes, you play as someone seeking vengeance and you're being instructed by a giant banana who can talk. So yes, it's described as full throttle gun ballet. It's obviously a shooter, which is obviously fantastic. It's a very adult themed game. You're taking on the clientele from the criminal underworld, Uzis in hand, for performing balletic actions, jumping, spinning, spiraling shots. It looks fantastic. It looks really interesting. There's not many games out there like it. I played at EGX Res 2019. I was very excited. It's probably one of the games I was most excited for, except for probably Cuphead. I played it. It was good, and actually the controls were a lot easier than I thought. It was fun to play. At times, though, the frame rate was an issue. So this was my concern: is that how would it perform trying to play at this fast pace with these, balletic, spiraling, jumping actions. Apparently, it performs quite well. I've not had a chance to play it yet. But my friend Pedro is out now. It's $15.29 on a discount, or £18 usually on the UK eShop, and around $20 in the US. As regular as clockwork, there's another shoot 'em up on my list. I always try and get them in there whenever I can. This month it is Rolling Gunner. It's from Project Rolling Gunner and Mabius. It's from obviously Asia, as you can see. It's a bullet hell side-scrolling shooter, very much in the kind of retro tribute to this kind of 16 or almost 32-bit style of graphics. Details are fairly limited, and it's not actually even on the UK eShop yet. It did release on June 20th on the US eShop, and obviously on the Japanese eShop. It's been something I've seen hints of on Twitter for a while. Obviously I'm excited it's come out. I'm looking to get hold of it. I'm probably going to have to purchase it on the US eShop unless that updates soon. Basically, there's quite a complicated story. I don't really know a lot about the game details, but it just looks very interesting with some cool boss fights and obviously sort of interesting graphics. There is quite a detailed story behind the game. Apparently humanity has become focused on Buster engines and the BAC, so I'm not sure what that is, but it seems like most of the human population is fairly inactive and unable to defend itself, and you must use your specialist ship to try and prevent the obviously doomsday scenario that most shoot 'em ups have involved. So it's $17.99 in the UK and $20 in the US. We're coming towards the end of the list now, but we have got another massive indie game. Yes, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was probably one of the most anticipated games of 2019. It was something I was very excited for a long time. It's had a lot of issues with its development. There's been some delays, obviously some huge criticism of the graphical style and quality of the graphics when it got initial trailers, when people started looking into it in more detail. The graphics, I'd say, obviously have been improved dramatically, but obviously on release on Switch, there's massive performance issues compared to the PS4. I have actually bought it. I've started playing the game. I can confirm that, yes, it doesn't look great. I think the character animations are the biggest issue I have, but obviously there's loading issues between the screens as well when you're trying to jump onto platforms, which doesn't help. And it obviously lots of issues on the Switch. I'm actually playing a version that has been patched. I didn't play it very much on day one. I'm actually enjoying it. I played at EGX Res and I had concerns then. The music's fantastic, and I think, you know, the gameplay is actually really fun. It just plays very slowly and you just think it could have been so much more, but I hope it does gradually improve. They're putting a lot more time and effort into try and fix some of the issues on Switch, and I really hope that we get more games in the series, because people love Metroidvanias, but obviously they'd love someone who's making games very much in that Castlevania style. So obviously it's available for around £35 or $40. There is a physical copy that's actually cheaper than that, so I'd recommend that. But if you have another platform, I would play it on the PS4, the Xbox, the PC, because it's just going to perform better on those platforms. Another game that 505 Games are involved in, but obviously from Relogic and Pipeworks Studios, it's Terraria. So obviously multi-million selling game from numerous consoles across different generations. I have it on PS3, but also the PS4. It's got huge awards through the years in terms of, you know, from fans and from critics. It's very popular. It's kind of sandbox adventure in this 2D pixel art style. So if you think of crossing something like Stardew Valley alongside kind of Minecraft and various other games of that kind of style and kind of 2D almost Dragon Quest Builders type, if you like getting value for money when you buy games, then Terraria is just definitely one for you. It is almost endless in terms of the possibilities, because there are hundreds of items and weapons. There's lots of areas to explore. You get to obviously build your own world, get to dig, you know, build structures, collect items. There's lots of combat as well, so obviously combine some elements from those games I mentioned previously. But it's very open in terms of what you can do. But there's also boss fights. You believe you can now even play multiplayer. So there are 20 biomes and mini biomes they describe to explore. So Terraria, it's out now on the eShop, but obviously there is a physical copy, but it has been delayed, so we're just waiting for more news on that. I do like to focus mainly on indie games or kind of retro titles, some things that may be slightly under the radar on the channel most of the time, but you can't miss Super Mario Maker 2. So obviously it came out June 28th. It's not been out too long, but it has taken over social media. It's taken over YouTube. Everyone's just playing levels. They're creating levels, throwing them out there. There's so much creativity in the game. It's so different from your traditional 2D Mario. I've bought it. I got it day one. I've been playing it a lot. I've been really enjoying not only just playing other people's levels, but the story mode. So obviously there's 100 different levels you can explore, and they're very, very different from your typical 2D Mario games. There's a lot of creativity. They show off all the features, the different skins. I've really enjoyed playing some of the ones I haven't had a chance to play yet, so like Mario 3D World. Really enjoying getting into those levels, and people, seriously, I don't know how they come up with the levels, but there's a lot of challenge in there. The story mode's fantastic, so that in itself is worth a lot of money. The major drawback has to be the online. It's really frustrating, it's really disappointing. It's such a great game is being let down by online play. The competitive online play at the moment, and this is obviously a good while after the release, is still having issues. I've tried to play numerous times. I've managed to get people to play with. It takes quite a while to load, but then the problem is it's just got horrendous lag. It's almost unplayable. Sometimes you will be able to play through fine, but most of the time there's just so much input lag that it is unplayable and people get knocked off. It's very, very disappointing, because with that, if that was right, if it worked smoothly, They've had so many great features, and if it worked well, it would be up there with those top games on the Switch. And I'd say it would be up there as a Game of the Year contender because it brings people together. It's so much fun, but it is a fantastic game. It's worth the money, and I hope the online gets fixed soon. So those are my top 10 games for Switch on the month of June. In terms of being my favourite game, Mario Maker 2 has to win it. There's just hands down, there's no competition really. But there's a lot of games and a lot of variety. A lot of games are really interesting. I've bought a lot of games as usual. I'll be playing some of those on the channel and I'll put some videos up there. But please leave in the comments down below anything that you like, any games I maybe missed or what you've been playing. Really interested to interact with you more. And if this is your first time, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my content. There's going to be lots more videos coming. I'm catching up on the monthly videos just now, but there's going to be a lot more reviews and interesting videos about developers, etc. coming soon. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one.